I recognized that it took a lot of work, a lot of investment in myself to come to that conclusion, because I don't think anyone's going to do it for you. I think that you have to make that commitment to yourself. Otherwise, you'll just get told what to do and your life is not really your own.
Is there any final advice you would maybe have given to yourself if you would now be able to meet the younger Lucy who is building up this career coaching business?
I'll make it as a coach, light the spark inside, empower every soul to turn the tide. I'll make it as a coach, help others grow, changing lives with every story I know.
How do I build a successful private coaching practice? How do I turn my passion, my personal story into a business? And how can I really help transform my clients' lives? These were questions that we discussed sort of generally on our last session on the making of a coach, together with Lucy Higgins, a successful career coach and coach trainer. Back then, Lucy was mainly speaking from her experience as a coach trainer and the questions she's getting there. Today, we continue this conversation, but we make those questions very applied. We unpack pillar by pillar how Lucy has answered them for herself in her very own real practice. Small spoiler, the center point of Lucy's practice is her career change program, a directive coaching program that helps ambitious mothers redefine their career. Lucy has developed this from her own personal story, as well as from her experience of a few years non-directive coaching practice. And by now, it really has become her bestseller. So let's see how she's done it. Let's go.
Yeah, so my business. So as I said earlier, one of my pillars, my business pillars is the training, but I'm going to put that aside because we've kind of talked about that. But in terms of the coaching, I see it as split into two. So one of the income streams is my work with a coaching platform called BetterUp. And the other one is my private work. So obviously with the associate coaching platforms, they find the clients for you. You don't have any admin really, but you get paid a lot less. Whereas the private work, it's all on me, all the admin's on me, and I have to find those clients. So I do similar things with both client bases, like as in what I'm helping them with is very similar. It's just that the way I find the clients and the way that I'm seeing them, I suppose, is different. The means through which I'm seeing them is different. With and let me think how to explain this. So with both of these groups, they tend to be either in a corporate or in an organization already, but they're unhappy and they want to make a change in some way. And I can help them do that either with non-directive coaching, just pure coaching, or a directive program that I have, which is like a career change program, really, where I take people from not knowing what they want to do with their career to being absolutely crystal clear about what that is and having a plan to get there. So there's these two sort of ways of career coaching, I suppose. One is directive and one is non-directive.
And what's the mission that you're on with your private practice?
The mission, well, it's to help women to navigate the systems that they feel stuck within, I would say, and find fulfillment in their life and career. So a lot of women feel very stuck in our society because they can't do any right. They can't achieve their potential. They're constantly being pushed down. And I help them to see that system and to really navigate it to serve them. That could be actually navigating the company that they're in, the organization, and staying in that company, deciding to stay in there, but changing their mindset and maybe upskilling in terms of the way they communicate or their personal brand or something like that. Or it could be leaving that organization and doing something somewhere else or changing career. But it's really helping them to find happiness when they're not very happy at work.
And on our previous session, we talked about how authenticity plays a big role in how you portray that change, how you also maybe stand for that change. Mm-hmm. So can you talk to me a bit about how did that journey from frustration and then kind of reorienting your idea? How did that look like for you?
Yeah. So I think in life, we have a tendency to think that we're the only one is going through something and that we're the problem. And so I went through kind of my 20s doing a job that essentially somebody else told me that I'd be good at. Somebody else had said, you're good with people, you're a good communicator, you should go into corporate communications. So I did, and I did quite well, and I kind of climbed the ladder, but I was very, very stressed and I wasn't fulfilled. It didn't bring me any sense of satisfaction really, but I thought everyone feels like this. Like, this is what life is like. This is how it is. You just kind of, you're exhausted and you keep going to work. I was going at like 7 a.m, leaving at 9 p.m, just ridiculous, overworking. And then when I had my first child, I think I just had a wake-up call. I just thought, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to live that life anymore with a child. I want to be there for my baby. And I also don't want that life for the next 20 years. I don't know how I'm going to do that, like be this stressed with a baby and not be sleeping and things. So I used that time to do a big deep dive on myself really and just think, who am I? What do I want? What life do I want for the future? And that involved therapy and coaching. I actually went on the Tony Robbins, what's it called? Unleash the Power Within, one of his group programs that we were talking about. Mm-hmm. And through that process, that's when I discovered coach. I realized that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a coach. I'd also considered being a clinical psychologist, but actually I decided coaching was the right thing for me. So then that led me to retraining. And then through that whole sort of career change, I found fulfillment. I found a way that works for me, a life that works for me with my children. But I recognized that it took a lot of work, a lot of investment in myself to come to that conclusion, because I don't think anyone's going to do it for you. I think that you have to make that commitment to yourself. Otherwise, you'll just get told what to do and your life is not really your own. So I suppose when you're saying, like, how do these two things match up, my business and my personal journey, it's like I really recognize myself in my clients. I recognize where they're at. And many of them are experiencing what I experienced too, whether it's being sidelined when I went on maternity leave, whether it's being sort of hanging off my husband's coattails while I was looking after children and feeling very less than and very underappreciated, whether it's that tension that I felt between wanting to achieve my potential but desperately wanting to be with my baby, and that frustration I felt at organisations that don't actually bloody help women to create this. Like, why are they losing so much talent as a result of it? Like, they're just mad. It's madness to me, right? So I had a lot of anger and frustration. And then the real kind of big thing that happened, I think, was during lockdown. So taking a back seat, brought up these kind of, what were they, 6 and 8 year old children, being sort of training as a coach on the side and not bringing very much money in, relying on my husband for finances. In COVID, he lost his business, and suddenly I was completely like, okay, well, I've got no way of really earning money. And I looked around me and I saw all these women that were in a similar position. Not necessarily their husbands had lost their business, but they were definitely being put upon. Like, a lot of women had to give up their jobs when they had to homeschool their kids, or they had to give up their jobs because they were looking after their parents who were ill. And not many men did that, because generally the male is the higher earner. So I saw this out there, and I, by the way, was homeschooling and I was looking after my mum who was ill. My stepdad died. Like, so much happened that year. It was all on me. And anyway, so you mentioned a while ago, I think, about what led you to go and do that motherhood studies course. What it was, I thought I'd done a sociology degree, and I noticed, God, what is happening in society where you've got this mass exodus of women leaving workplace because of COVID. And so that led me to go and study motherhood studies under a sociologist called Dr. Sophie Brock. And so I'm now a certified motherhood studies practitioner. And what that really means is that I've done a real niche course, a sociological course, but on the Institute of Motherhood in society. So I really do understand the patriarchal system keeps stuck on purpose, by the way. So what that allows me to do in my coaching is really bring that lens into it and reassure my clients that this is not you. It's bloody hard. And it's hard for a reason, because this system has been set up for men. It hasn't been set up for women. How can I help you in the coaching space to go, right, we know that, we can't change it. I mean, we can try, but we can't change it overnight. So how can you make the best of it? How can you empower yourself here? How can you communicate better? How can you ask for what you want? How can you build the relationships network, build your personal brand, take control of it, essentially, because nobody else is going to. So I took that passion and that frustration that I felt in COVID, learned about why that happened, and then now I use that in my coaching. And yes, you can probably tell I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah. And now you describe the lockdown period during COVID as sort of a turning point for you.
Yeah.
Another one that you had mentioned, and a new word, in fact, that I learned from you, was matrescence.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what is matrescence and what role does it play in the life of your clients and in your own?
Yeah, I mean, it runs alongside all our work. Basically, if you think about the word adolescence, that's obviously, we know it very well, right? It's the period of change for a teenager. It's physiological, it's mental, it's sociological, all of those things, right? It's everything, little. Matrescence is the change that a woman goes through when she becomes a mother. And that touches on all the different spheres. Like your role in society changes. People start treating you differently. Very interesting. People either they think less of you as a mother, if you're a mother, if you're pushing a pram, or they have this urge to come and talk to you and be very friendly with you. It's very interesting. So physically, you obviously change hugely. I mean, our body internally and externally. Mentally, neurologically, we change. Our neural pathways change. Yeah, so basically all these different things that we go through. Hormonally, we change. None of it's recognized. You think about it. It's kind of just expected. Oh, she's become a mother. Great, good for her. How great. I bet you're having a wonderful time. Well, hang on. Like, a lot has changed. And it's not just I don't have any sleep anymore. It's all these other changes that I need validating. But who's there to validate them? No one. So matrescence needs to be, in my opinion, in the dictionary, and it needs to be talked about at school as something that happens to women, just like menopause, just like when you start with periods. It's another huge transition that women go through. And by the way, they are now bringing in pants. So there is actually some research that shows that men also go through changes, just like women. They might not be as physically apparent, but definitely psychologically and societally. So yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, that's matrescence.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I learned that matrescence, not that I learned it with that word, but I learned that the dads, they are always a bit behind with their transformational journey because they don't have that body transformation like women experience it in the very early stages of their motherhood already, of their pregnancy already. And the dads, they have to wake up and man, you're a dad now. That's what I learned in my course. And still about to grasping what that really means, I guess.
Yeah, and there's no rushing it. It's one of those things that just happens and you go with it. When I think back, our children are now 15 and 13, and I think me and my husband are unrecognizable as people. We're completely different to what we were 15 years ago.
Yeah, exciting times,
it is.
Definitely. But getting back to coaching, what role does it play for your clients and also in the positioning of your business?
Yeah, so I would say it's really exciting actually, because I call it like updating your files. So we've had this sort of filing system in our heads of who we are, and coaching allows us to update our files on who we are, our identity. And matrescence is a huge part of that because, as I've just described, the amount of change that we all go through, how unique each individual's change journey is as well. So coaching can provide that space to articulate how they're feeling, what changes they've noticed, and update their sense of self and identity, and gain some confidence and start to think about the future. Okay, so now I know this about who I am because I've changed so much. I know who I am now. What do I want for the future? Because coaching is all about present to future. So what do I want? And then I can help them to create that for themselves. But they need first to do the work around, well, who am I now? So that we're not building that future based on a past self. So I'd say matrescence is key because it's like, it gives a word for what they're experiencing or what they have experienced. And it never ends, by the way.
Yeah.
So you go into a new matrescence space with every child you have, and you're never not in matrescence as long as your children are there.
Yeah. And in our previous episode, you said as a coach, you should think about how do you help your clients to get from Hell Island.
Yeah.
And what I hear now is this is your Hell Island.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
being in this sort of identity, existential crisis.
Yeah.
This is what you help your clients with.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I see is based on that, you have sort of built two offers in a way. And also those I recognize from our earlier conversation where you said, okay, there is these sort of two ways of coaching, directive and non-directive. And that's actually exactly what you also offer then on your website. You say, okay, non-directive, ICF aligned coaching.
Yeah.
This is basically where you offer a package of open one-on-one coaching, right? And then the directive coaching, this is more of your package program, a transformation journey that you're offering.
Yeah.
So let's unpack both of these a bit.
Okay.
Let's get started by looking a bit at this non-directive coaching.
Yeah. So for me, the non-directive is good for people. This particular package is good for people who don't want a full career change. They just want to tweak something. They know that they want to stay where they are, maybe, but there's something not quite right. They're either struggling with work-life balance, confidence. They want to get promoted, but they're not getting promoted. Maybe they haven't had an interview for a while and they're just feeling like they need some interview practice. So I would call that more executive and career coaching. Yeah. So it's like the client comes with particular issues or things that they want to change, and we'll work on those. Whereas the directive package is for people who are like, I need to do a full MOT on who I am. And from that space, work out what career is going to suit me. And it may be that I stay where I am, or I go back into what I used to do, or it may be something completely new. So they're very open-minded, the people who do option. And they're very stuck. They've run out of ideas and they want some guidance. A lot of people feel they want hand-holding, and this gives them that.
Yeah. On our previous session, we also talked about pricing, and you said, well, yeah, now you charge £250 for a session. If I check your website, that doesn't seem to be entirely accurate because actually I cannot book one session.
Oh, that's true.
I'm always booking a package of sessions,
Yes.
right? Can you talk a bit about that? How do you package that?
Yeah. So when it's a new client, I always will do a minimum of 6 sessions because I don't believe I can enough value in less than that. But when it's a client, like I've had clients that I've had for like 5 years, know them really well, we can just hit the ground running. Very happy to have a one-off session with them, or a couple of sessions, or 3 sessions maybe. It takes a while to get to know a client, to build that rapport, that trust, and therefore I wouldn't do it for less than 6 sessions. So yeah, I do have a sliding scale depending on whether it's a package they're booking or if they're an existing client, depending on their budget, if they're paying, if their business is paying. Yeah.
Yeah. And then your second offer, this would be the directive coaching.
Yeah.
And there it seems like looks like a sort of standardized program that I can see here. You
Yeah.
call it career change coaching.
Yeah.
Going through 3 stages of exploration, dreaming, and discovery. Can you tell us a bit about that? How did you come to build it? How come it looks like as it looks like?
Yeah. So I did a continuous professional development course with a company called Firework. And these 3 phases are created by them. And it's based on years of expert looking at what, the best kind of career change programs, essentially. So it's sort of bringing all that together. So I've got like exercises, assessments, and things that are behind each of these 3: explore, dream, and discover. Okay, so I can access all of that because I've done this course. But then what I've done is create my own spin on it. So I'm sort of looking at what I noticed through experience is that it's not as simple as that, right? That there's so many barriers that people come up against, so many obstacles. And I've listed those underneath. So things like fear is a massive one. We could spend 3 sessions at least on fear, dealing with fear. Confidence, any assumptions they're making, the limiting beliefs they have, their identity, which we talked about already, their worldview. So what I mean by that is the sort of society, this social conditioning that we have is so ingrained often that it takes a while to sort of unpack that bit and loosen it up and potentially create a new worldview, which is actually going to serve that client. Parenting, obviously a big one, like what's going on with the parent. They might have stressful situation at home, whatever that's getting in the way. Parent responsibilities, so they might be looking after their parents. Work-life balance, another huge one. Not in here, but finances is often a one. Systemic barriers, relationship dynamics. So although I've laid out there, explore, dream, discover, I've never had it. It's just, you just go through it like that. We normally kind of dip out of it and work on something. The saboteur assessment that you and I are going to do in a bit, we might look at your mindset for a few sessions and then come back to it and then notice how actually working on their mindset has shifted how they see their career or the options that are available to them, etc. So it's not linear. But what I love particularly about the explore phase is, I'm just going to read these out in case somebody's listening to this rather than can see on the screen. But we're looking at identifying your personal strengths, your life purpose, your core values, your interests and passions, the knowledge you have, your ideal working day, your skills, your professional strengths, your work motivators, your work achievements, your ideal work environment, and something called your powerful self, which is a visualization that I do with people to access that subconscious part of them, the part that believes in themselves and knows that they can achieve anything. And through that process, you get a very strong sense of your identity and who you are. And only from there, I believe, can you then start to do your dreaming. Like, what are the possibilities with this identity? What's realistic? And let's then look at, okay, then what's your vision? What vision have you got for your life and your work? And then, right, let's face the current reality. Well, you've only got £2 in the bank. So can you actually go and retrain as a no? So we look at the reality of it, and then we build a bridge between the reality and the vision. So an action plan, and then they start to take action. And then if people want help, but they want accountability and stuff, they can book more sessions and I can help them to actually make it happen. But it's funny because I had an exploratory call yesterday with a new client and I explained these 2 options. And she said to me, oh, it's really interesting. When you started talking about this one, you just lit up and you started gesticulating and moving. And I was like, it's because I really believe in it. I think it's a brilliant program. And it's something that I wish I'd had. I wish I'd had this because it's really rigorous and it's particularly suited to transitions like motherhood. So, yeah, but it is directive, but by directive, I mean there is a program we're going through, but the sessions themselves are pure coaching. So those sessions are like, right, so you've done this exercise. What did you get from that exercise? What awareness do you have now that you didn't have? And we start to shape their identity in that first bit.
How did these two pillars of your private practice, on the one hand, the non-directive coaching, simply packages of several sessions, and next to that, this structured program, how did this evolve for your private practice as a business?
So I started off with the non-directive, and I realized that my client base wanted more guarantee that they were going to get an outcome. So for people who have never done coaching before, I think it's quite a gamble, actually, to pay all that money when, as a pure coach, I'm saying, I know that you're going to get the outcome. That's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you how much work you put in. If that was me, I'd be like, oh God, I don't even know if I like coaching or if it's going to work. It could be a complete waste of money. Whereas the directive, they can see very clearly how we go through the program, what they're going to get out of it. And that's what I learned, that some business that I was losing was because they wanted a more structured approach. So that's why I created it.
Because I guess with career coaching, it is often not a burning issue that the client comes with, but this is sort of this subtle discontent with my life situation, juggling family, not being a bit withdrawn from that career vision that I used to have.
Yeah.
And then you don't just say, okay, here is my coaching. You can book 6 sessions. Let's go. But you can say, look, here's a path that has worked for other people.
Exactly.
And at the end of this tunnel, you can see the light because we will go through this and this and that. And you sort of take the client by the hand and show them the light in a way.
Exactly. And also what's quite nice is that some of my clients will say, well, actually, I know my strengths. I know my core values. I know a lot of this. And so I say to them, right, well, you go away and you fill in what I call these canvases, which are like boxes with each of these in. They just write notes in them and see how much awareness you've got now. And anything that's missing, we can do that. And so I can take, even though this is a directed program, I can be flexible with it depending on the self-awareness that the client's currently got.
Yeah, nice. And you sort of developed this career change program based on your own private practice, basically the non-directive sessions.
Yeah.
But then you also did this fireworks program. So how did those two paths come together historically for you?
Do you mean why did I invest in the firework program?
Yeah, and how did you then tailor your very own career change program from the fireworks program?
Yeah, I suppose it's a bit like what I said to you earlier about understanding that you are unique. So what you bring as a coach is not to be discounted. So I think that is another difference between coaching and therapy. The therapist tends not to have a personal brand or to kind of be visible, be out there, sort of saying, right, this is my story and this is why I coach and blah, blah, blah. I would say embrace that in coaching because we can bring a lot of ourselves into it. So what I've done is through experience of coaching. I mean, I've got over 2,000 hours now of just coaching mothers. So I've got a huge amount of knowledge there that I can bring into this directive program because, and tailor it accordingly. And I know that it's going to work because of the experience I've got. But not only that, because of my own experience, because I've been through it myself and I am going through it with my kids. So I think it's that credibility piece that people trust I can help them. And therefore, they're more willing to invest in me, I think.
Yeah. And how was the process with fireworks going through their program? How did that look like?
It's quite quick. It's 6 months and it's just 3, I think there were 3 half-day sessions where they train you on how to use all the tools and they explain the different ways that you can market it and deliver it and stuff. And then you've got your trainees that you're working with and you can have like buddy. I had a lovely buddy that had a week practice with each other and I'm still in touch with her and she's gorgeous. And it's the lovely thing about these continuous professional development, just the amazing people you meet on the courses. So yeah, I had a lovely experience with them. It was great. There's not a huge amount of support though. Like you're not going to kind of do it and then you're like part of a community and everyone supports each other. It's not really like that. I would say you learn their way of doing it and then you adapt it for you and what works for your clients.
It was a one-off investment for you. So you did the program, You invested 6 months and a bit of money,
Yeah.
and now you adapt it to yours.
Yeah.
And you're also free. Like you don't pay a yearly
No.
membership fee or anything.
No, and I spent about 3 years debating whether to do it. And I wish I'd done it sooner because I made back my money within the first client. I think I charged the same amount of money that I spent on the course and I made it back. So it's been a really, and when they say things like that on websites and you think, oh, that probably won't happen to me, but it did. And it actually gave me a lot more confidence as well because it was tried and tested. I knew it worked, Yeah, I really, and I think I'll continue to evolve this as I get more experience of delivering it, and I'll just continue to tweak it and stuff. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I think now I got quite a good bird's eye view of your business.
Okay.
So let's actually zoom out and take a bit of a bird's eye view.
Okay.
And I quickly took note here of what I understood the pillars of your coaching business are. So we have the different offers or the different, we could call it channels in a way that you have, right? And from a client perspective, maybe my first question, how is it different in terms of investments if I book this package of 6 non-directive sessions versus I sign up for the whole program? How does that look like for me as a client?
So do you mean money-wise?
Yeah.
Yes. So 6 sessions is £1,200 and that's non-directive. So the reason this is less than what I'm about to take you through is because I don't need to do much in between sessions. The directive coaching, the career change program, that's 12 sessions and that is 2,200 and that's the minimum. So it can be more depending on what people want, basically. So it can go up to like 2,600 because some people say to me, I know I've got to do a load of work on my mindset, for instance. So already I know that we're going to need a few more extra sessions for that. That one requires, because I'm giving the client a lot of exercises and things to do, I have to read through all of those before I meet with them. And that can sometimes take ages because I'm quite in depth with my prep.
Yeah, but it still seems like a great deal for the client because they get the sort of the structured program and you also do that sort of pre-post work. It sounds like a bit more than you would do in the non-directive one.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, and that's the individual rate. So that's for individuals and charities. And then I have a higher rate for if corporates are paying.
Okay, interesting. Let's go there.
So for the corporate, so the 6 sessions is, I think it's 1,400 at the moment. Yeah, it's not a huge amount more. And then the other one is another, so it's 2,400 to 2,800. So it's not massive.
So
it's
slight markup, basically. Yeah. And if we look at like what role does it play today? Like I said, basically just based on our conversation, I said, okay, that's the pillars of your business here, but how important are these different pillars? So if you would have to put percentages here on each of these 4, what percentage of your revenue and maybe also your time does it make up these days?
Oh, okay. So on average, I have 30 clients a month. So at any one time, so at the moment, I've got 30 clients, I think. 20 of them are with Better and 10 of them are private clients. But as I told you earlier, there's a lot going on in my personal life. And so what that means is I am relying quite heavily on BetterUp because I don't have the time or the energy to be thinking about private work. It's when I have more time and energy, I put in a lot more to the private work and then I get more clients. And I can dial down my BetterUp work, which is I don't get paid as much for that. So yeah.
Yeah, and if you would have to split it between the non-directive and the directive part, like these 10, just on average, I'm sure there's a big variety month to month, but what share of your clients goes for the directive and the non-directive?
Oh,
coaching?
I see. Oh, most of them go for the directive.
Okay.
Yeah. So my non-directive.
So like 80-20.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So my non-directive is normally clients that I've had for years that come back and they say, I want to book a package of 12 or 6 or whatever. Rarely get people, new clients, wanting that non-directive anymore. Don't know why. That's made me think. I need to think about you. You're a good business coach. You're making me think.
It seems like a great offer for me. Like just looking at that chart, I think that is quite compelling. It looks really holistic.
Yes,
and transformational.
It is. And also, I think it's very well suited to my client base. So that's another thing. I think I've kind of found a way of an offer that really appeals to that client base. And also, I think I really enjoy it. So maybe there's something subconscious in the way that I do my exploratory calls, like that client said yesterday, that I was all like, I was like getting all energetic about it because I love it. Whereas the pure coaching I do enjoy, but I don't get as much of a buzz from it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing and also for being so open and transparent. I think that's, for me, this is how I learned to become an entrepreneur, like really understanding how do the business of other people work. And that's also what I try to do for coaches on this podcast.
Yeah. I think it's really important to be open and transparent in an industry which isn't that open and transparent, despite our coaching values are all about transparency. So I'm very happy to be transparent.
Nice. Is there any final advice you would maybe have given to yourself if you would now be able to meet the younger Lucy who is building up this career coaching?
It would be, honestly, just trust that you are naturally good at this and lean into it. Don't question what you love. So just a quick story. My husband always said years ago that if we were at a party, he'd be like, "Where is she?" And I'd still be at the door with my coat on, like having a conversation with the person that I first met. Because I'm someone that seeks out deep conversations and interesting conversations. And I'm not interested in being like the loudest person in the room and being in a group and all of that. It actually stresses me out. I liked being in a one-to-one, having conversations about, stuff that matters. So I think I would say to my younger self, see that as a strength and one of your skills rather than just some random bit of your personality. It's actually something you can make a career out of. So yeah, I'd say to new coaches, notice those little things about yourself that maybe other people, to let you in on a weird secret of mine, I quite like funerals because at funerals, people just say how it is, don't they? They just, not all the bullshit's gone. It's just like, I'm going through hell, let's talk about it. Or it gets very existential, very philosophical. It really calms me. So yeah, I would say to the younger self, I would just say lean into that.
Be authentic. Trust what seems normal to you, but remarkable to others. That is maybe this golden nugget.
Exactly that. Yeah. And let's face it, that is hard to identify in your 20s. It is, because you don't know yourself that well. But I think by the time you get to your 30s, you are starting to really see what makes you stand out as an individual. So just lean into that.
Thanks so much. This is it for today's Making of a Coach. I really loved how transparent Lucy was with us and how we really managed to unpack and even visualize the pillars, the building blocks of her life as a coach. I'm curious how you found it to dig into this so specifically, even putting down some post-its on a whiteboard. Let me know your feedback. You can text me on LinkedIn or drop me an email to tobias@metafox.eu. I'd love to get your critical and constructive feedback so we can further evolve these sessions and get the right guests for you. If you already liked it, you can also recommend it to a friend. And of course, tune in again in 2 weeks. Then we'll have our last session with Lucy, zooming in even a bit more with one particular tool she's using as part of her career change program in a very hands-on coaching demo. All the best until then. I'm Tobi from MetaFox. Bye-bye.
Every I know